Welcome to Zolder, another classic European racetrack that has shaped the history of motorsport. A former home of the Belgian Grand Prix, this place has hosted everything from top-class sports cars to Champ Car and even the Tour de France. And now there's another new series to add to that list. Yep, W Series has made it to Belgium for round 2 after an opening race that didn't disappoint. 18 pioneering drivers all set for the race of their lives. Welcome to W Series.
Those lights will go out and we will be making history. It's a brilliant start from Jamie Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick off the circuit.
Oh, Megan Gilks T-bone down the inside.
Emma Kimilainen out of this race. Jamie Chadwick has retaken the lead here.
Chadwick coming under increasing pressure from Alice Powell.
Jamie Chadwick wins the first W Series race.
So round 2 of the W Series comes to you from Zolder here in Belgium. The race is about to get underway. Let's join our commentary team, David Coulthard and Claire Cottingham.
So formation lap is underway now. Let's see how the grid lines up, shall we? Well, it's back-to-back pole positions for Jamie Chadwick, who starts from the front, but she'll have to watch in her mirrors for Garcia, who slots in behind her on the front row. On the second, 2 drivers who were on the podium last time out in Hockenheim. Alice Powell lines up 3rd and Marta Garcia in 4th. Sarah Moore starts from 5th alongside Vivien Keszthelyi. An impressive qualifying for Tasman Pepper in 7th, Esme Hawkey in 8th. Vicky Piria starts from 9th and rounding up the top 10 is Gosia Ridest. Row 6, we've got Wood and Schiff. Moving on to row 7, we've got Miki Koyama and Shea Holbrook in 13th and 14th. 15th is Megan Gilks. 16th is Vivien Keszthelyi, and she's replacing Emma Kimilainen due to illness. And Jessica Hawkins has been handed a 3-place grid penalty for crossing the white line at the pit exit during quali. Lines up 17th. 18th is Sarah Cook. And after being handed her first outing in a Formula 3 car, Sarah Bovy rounds up the 19 drivers. The standings are like this. Jamie Chadwick leads the championship at the moment from Alice Powell and Marta Garcia. You can see Visser, Moore, Volvent, Koyama, Pepper, Gosia Ridest and Caitlin Wood. The cars just lining up at the back. There seems to be a couple of cars out of position as the green flag is starting to wave at the back, but Sarah Bovy not in position just yet. But we watch for the lights to go out and see if Garcia can get a good start into turn 1. As we hold the lights are on in the top and they're off, and Gosia Ridest has a great start, but Garcia heads into turn 1 and takes the lead off Jamie Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick caught napping there as they make their way around the first turn here. Jamie Chadwick not leading this race anymore. There's a couple of other drivers at the back slightly just struggling to stay on the circuit. Not a lot of runoff here as we watch Garcia take the lead here in Zolder. Jamie Chadwick is 2nd and Alice Powell is 3rd, heading into the 1st and 2nd and 3rd turns here at Zolder. So Sarah Bovy had a problem. There was flames coming, there was smoke coming from the back of her car, but we carry on racing here. Garcia is in the lead at the moment. Jamie Chadwick is in 2nd and Alice Powell in 3rd, and we've got Marta Garcia in 4th, Sarah Moore in 5th and 6th, Tasman Peppers. We watch Sarah Bovy there having a problem, double yellows.
Yeah, that is such a disappointment for her. You know, she had the opportunity to start this race unexpectedly. So normally only 18 cars, but because of her strong performance in pre-practice, she was allowed to take to the grid. And then there's a technical problem. These cars have run very well through all of the sort of pre-season testing. Reliability has been great, but we're 2 races in and we've got a safety car again.
Safety car is out then in Zolder. Just the way you like to start a race, isn't it? Not sure exactly what happened to Sarah Bovy at the back there, but we saw plumes of smoke coming out the back of her engine.
Yeah, well, they'll find out in time what technical issue. And we've got the eagle-eyed Ted down there in the pit lane. So as soon as he gets some information on that, I'm sure he will play that to us. But this is a dream start for Visa, that's exactly what she needed to do, and this is going to be a difficult race now for Jamie Chadwick. This circuit is difficult to overtake.
Well, it'll be good to see a replay of the start, because we're not quite sure. Maybe Jamie Chadwick was caught out there by the lights as well. Visa was definitely fastest of the line as it stands before the safety car came out with that problem for Sarah Bovy at the back of the grid, as the cars all start to weave around trying to keep that temperature in their tyres. They wouldn't have been able to get too much from that just formation lap that we saw, so they're going to try and make sure they can weave about to keep the heat in the tyres.
Keep the heat. They're just coming up behind the safety car now. I think this will be a very short safety car session, because we saw that car had been removed from the start-finish. A decision was taken to send out the safety car. As you can see here, there was that issue. And she would obviously, the gentleman at the back of the grid waving the green flag didn't think she was going to take the start. And then you can see that engine issue that ultimately led to her not being able to line up. And if we stay with this, then yeah, that's a very unusual procedure. But let's just see if we stay with the start to see exactly what went on with Jamie Chadwick. You can see her desk there in the background made a great start, and well, Visa managed to convert what is the cleaner side of the circuit. Actually, I'm a little bit surprised that Pole was on the left. You can see some cement dust from previous running.
So we're under a safety car here at Zolder after that unusual start. Visa leads from Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell. Welcome back to Zolder in Belgium for round 2 of W Series. The race is running behind the safety car after Sarah Bovy's car failed to get away at the start.
So this is going to feel like a complete restart for a lot of the drivers, as they went straight into that safety car lap. So let's see what Visa can do once the safety car comes in. How can she really capitalise on this restart?
Well, it's about the element of surprise. No one can go until she ultimately decides to run the start. So she'll want to start dropping back a little bit from the safety car. They're coming onto the back straight now, so she can control the pace, back everyone up, make sure that she gets a clean run. Now, it looks to me that, because she's going very slowly now, it looks to me that she's going to wait until she sees the safety car go straight into the pit lane, and then she's going to make a run at the chicane. She could come out of the chicane and go slowly all the way to line, but it looks to me like she's gone already.
So, yeah, she's gone. Visa is into turn 1, turn 2, coming up to turn 1 now as the green flag is waving, and they go past the start-finish straight, and she's pulled off pretty well, actually, holding Jamie Chadwick behind. And actually, Alice Powell looks a lot faster than Jamie Chadwick coming into turn 1. Visa very clean on that exit as they come into turn 2, and it doesn't look like it's anywhere near close to overtaking anyone, as we see a move here with Caitlin Wood and Miki Koyama trying to go around the inside there of Caitlin Wood, but Wood defends hard. She's not allowing that one. Yeah,
well, the downside of attempting that move into that corner, of course, you compromise your exit. So it's a good lesson for any young racers out there. If you're going to commit to a pass, then you've really got to try and make it stick. Otherwise, especially when the grid is so tight as we see here after the restart, then you can find yourself, you know, you start out as the attacker, but you end up being attacked on the exit of the corner.
So we're going to see this continue, I think, this battle with Caitlin Wood and with Miki Koyama. So Visa is leading, she's got quite a healthy lead at the moment of 5 tenths, nearly 6 tenths at the moment on Jamie Chadwick. So as we were talking just before we came into this race, it's a circuit that doesn't allow a lot of overtakings. We see Jessica Hawkins trying to make it. And she spun around, and there's damage, and there is a front wing. It's Esme Hawkey has, I think, gone into Gorsia Radest. I'm going to have to just see if which is the purple car that has spun round.
Looks like she might have stalled, Claire. Looks like she may be
lost her front wing as well.
Front wing's gone, and you can see there the damage.
It's Vivien Keszthelyi.
Vivien, and they've got yellow flags out, understandably, and safety car once again.
Safety car back out. So as we saw there, I think it was a move, a very bold move.
Yeah, it looked to me that I think actually Esme was overtaking the car directly behind Keszthelyi, and then overshot the corner and ended up T-boning into the side of Keszthelyi. So disappointing for both the racers, of course, but let's get a replay of that and see exactly who she made the move on.
It was Gosha Radest.
Yeah.
I thought there was another car involved in that. I definitely saw a purple car going into the grass. So it'll be interesting to see if we could see that's 3 cars that are out. Here's the replay.
Right, let's just watch the background. So we've got Esme Hockey dives down the end.
She goes into the side of Gosha Radest.
Yeah.
That's the spin, and that's what happened to Vivien.
Yeah.
There we go. Just a double spin for both of those drivers, and then it looks like...
Well, that was into Keszthelyi, wasn't it? So, right, that doesn't explain what's happened to Radest. Where has she been involved in an incident? As we see the boards that go around the racetrack depicting that we've got a safety car out, full course yellow.
Safety car back out then, second safety car of this race. It's been an eventful couple of laps already, hasn't it? 22 minutes left on the clock as the safety car's going round. Ted, have you got an update for us?
Yeah, so a couple of things from down here in the pits, Claire. First of all, on Sarah Bovy's car, just spoke to the chief engineer, not quite sure exactly what it is. They think it might be suspicions about an oil line breaking, maybe burning off on the hot exhaust rather than an engine actually blowing, but they'll have to get the car back to actually have a look. But some consternation down here about the man with the green flag. If you don't follow us often in motor racing, you see this in Formula One, in German touring cars and everything. He had one job. It's one of those things. You've got one job, man with the green flag, and that's to certify to the starter of the race that all the cars are in position and ready to start. And that was clearly not the case. And there he was waving his green flag anyway. So a few questions will be asked after the race.
Well, I think that's what threw us off so much, because I saw the green flag being waved, and then that usually means that everyone's in position ready for the race to start. And then we saw Sarah Bovy, and what would usually happen is Sarah Bovy would then be taken into the pit lane, and you would work out that she either started from the pit lane or whatever it was, or they did another formation lap. So it was a very odd start to the race, wasn't it?
We're still under safety car conditions. Currently running fourth is Marta Garcia, who finished third 2 weeks ago at Hockenheim. Ted Kravitz found out more about the Spanish teenager.
Marta Garcia, but keep an eye on her.
Is absolutely adamant to stand on the podium.
So Marta, here we are, Zolder. Congratulations on the podium in Hockenheim. You must have been thrilled with that.
Yeah, thank you a lot. It was a really nice weekend actually.
How long has that been since you were on the podium?
Since my last race of karting, which was in 2018.
Tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background?
I've been racing karting for a long time, since I was 9 years old. I always liked the racing, the speed and everything, because I remember always that my father went into the parking, I always got in the seat.
You climbed out from the back seat into the front, yeah?
And then just like I was driving, so I always had that in my mind, racing and everything.
You come from a great tradition of Spanish drivers, but what kind of driver are you?
Well, I would say I'm a smooth driver. I try to think on track, and also I'm a bit of aggressive as well. So it's a bit of a mix, I think, of smooth and aggressive.
Don't go down the inside when it's damp. Oh, well, do go down the inside when it's damp.
What are ambitions beyond W Series and F3? Formula One?
Yeah, of course, I think. All drivers want to get to Formula One. It's one dream that I'm trying to achieve now, also with the W Series.
Well, Marta, thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. I look forward to this race. It's a really fantastic old school track, isn't it? So, vamos!
We're in the second safety car period of the race here at Zolder. Bajnski Visser still leads. Welcome back to Zolder in Belgium for round 2 of W Series. We're under our second safety car period of the race, with Bajnski Visser leading from Jamie Chadwick. W Series will visit some of Europe's most historic racetracks. We started at Hockenheim in Germany and are here at Zolder in Belgium for round 2. Next we go to Misano in Italy, the fabulous Norris Ring Street Circuit, Assen in the Netherlands and Brands Hatch in Great Britain for the finale in August.
Well, the cars are still being removed as a very angry Gosia Redest there held her hand on her hips, looking very unhappy. But there's a thumbs up to the marshals, so that's always good. Ted, have you got an update?
Yeah, she might be more angry when she sees the stewards later, because she's under investigation for a jump start, is Gosia Redest. Of course, that won't be a factor now that she's out of the car and not finishing the race. But just want to underline how disappointing this is for the Hungarian reserve driver, Vivien Keszthelyi. You know, comes into this weekend, her fellow reserve, Sarah Bovy, had got the nod ahead of her to start the race. And then not only does Bovy go out, but also Keszthelyi does, gutting for both.
We're still behind the safety car here at Zolder. Earlier this week, I caught up with the Race 1 winner, Jamie Chadwick, in London. Okay. Fine. We can start that one.
Okay,
Let's
start that one again.
Right, let's relive some of the moments of your race, Jamie.
This all happened so fast, to be honest. You don't have time to really think about what's going on. You're just focused on, yeah, the lights and the 5 seconds boards and trying to get your start right, really.
Lights out, Jamie Chadwick is away. It's a brilliant start from Jamie Chadwick.
I obviously went quite committed through the first few corners, which, you know, paid off. I managed to get a good gap and, yeah, went down into turn 6. Braked what I thought was quite early and, yeah, went off, locked up, lost the lead. Not the highlight of my race by any means. Once I got the lead back, I felt comfortable.
Jamie Chadwick wins the first W Series race.
I think people thought I was a bit subdued, but it just never sinks in at the time. And I got back here and I was sort of tucked up in bed and I realised what would happen for it to sink in. I was tweeted by Billie Jean King at the end of the weekend and yeah, things like that, it's very surreal.
There was a dangerous moment on the podium, let's call it that. It could have been the biggest accident of the entire weekend.
I was completely oblivious to any of this happening until I saw it back, in which it's hilarious and I've never seen anything like that. There's actually a few funny things going on. You can see Alice spraying Catherine Bonmuir there and yeah, it's all going off. It's quite funny to watch.
Give us a bit of your background.
It was very much as a hobby early on. I did it because I enjoyed it, but I think I started to progress a little bit more and eventually enter the Ginetta Junior Scholarship, which was my first big break, really. One thing led to another, it all spiraled out of control. It really has been quite a steep trajectory. I'm loving every moment of it and I just want to keep sort of pushing on.
One thing that I've noticed in W Series is that all the drivers seem really supportive of each other.
To come across, you know, 20 other like-minded girls, I think naturally we're all going to get on, we've all got a lot in common, we've all been through a very similar experience in the sport, and though obviously we're racing against each other, I think we've got a lot of respect for each other as well.
It's quite unusual to have one race weekend and then people talking about somebody as the favourite for the series, because yes, you're leading the championship, but we have had one round. Is that a bit surreal?
I think I've been the underdog for my whole career, so suddenly now to get the sort of status of potentially being the favourite, I think I've just got to ignore, because I think a lot of people don't obviously see what's going on behind the scenes, and yes, we had a really great weekend in Hockenheim, but I can assure you it's not going to be that easy for the rest of the year. So yeah, I think I've just got to keep my head down, keep working hard, and hopefully, you know, things pan out well.
We're still under safety car conditions after a collision between Esme Hockey and Gosia Redest. Beitske Visser leads, but we should be ready to go racing soon. Welcome back to Zolder in Belgium. The safety car period is about to end, so the restart is just moments away. Beitske Visser leads from Jamie Chadwick.
So Chadwick was a little bit faster than you on the first sector. Second sector, you were the fastest. And the third sector, Paul is the fastest, 1/10 faster than you on the left sector.
Beitske Visser there being spoken to her engineer about how her sector is faster or slower than Jamie Chadwick behind the championship leader. Is that sort of information that you ask for, or that some drivers don't like to get so much, do they?
Well, every driver's different, and you know, we know from other racing championships, you get one moment you get the driver asking, keep me informed, and the next moment you get, leave me alone. And safety car is coming in this lap.
Yeah, is in this lap. Bijtske then pushes them all back up again and restarts this race with 17 minutes left on the clock. Plus 1 lap, of course, as we come past the start-finish straight. And we go racing again in Zolder. And again, once again, Bijtske is heading into turn 1, and it is clean at the moment from the 95 car. There it is into turn 1. It's a long straight on the start-finish straight here. Jamie Chadwick absolutely nowhere, pushing as hard as she can, and there is a gap now between Visser, Chadwick and Powell to Garcia. So we'll see exactly how that one pans out with the 16 minutes left of this race with the green flag waving. Yeah,
well, we saw Koyama there again, made a good start from a poor qualifying. She's inside the top 10 and pushing hard onto the back of Caitlin Wood. And, well, she qualified down on the 13th position. So she might not be much of a qualifier, but she's a brilliant racer.
She's looking around the inside and she's got her there. She's gone around Caitlin Wood, and Miki Koyama moves up to 8th. So that was a brilliant move. She was fighting hard. There might be a problem for Wood. She seems to be going back as Vicky Piria seems to be trying to find her way around as well. So Miki Koyama, as we remember well from Hockenheim, who started quite far back from the grid and ended up in the top 10. So she had a fantastic drive last time out. So she's not ashamed of overtaking when she can. There is a gap now between Powell and Garcia. However, Sarah Moore is on the gearbox of that car, though.
Yeah, getting herself into position to pick up the slipstream. And we've got the 2 American racers, Holbrook and Cook, running nose to tail as well. So the country honour being battled for there as they come out onto start-finish straight again. But Moore is in a reasonable position. And no one really sort of making a break right now. The gaps as they go across the line, you know, under a second for each of those top cars who are just starting to break away a little bit from that next pack.
Big gap between there, 3 seconds behind the leader for 4th and 3rd and 4th. Great wheel-to-wheel racing here. It's almost breathless once the safety car goes in. Ted, have you got an update for us?
Yeah, but under intense pressure, a great last lap from Bijtske under pressure from Chadwick behind her, has pulled out the gap now from half a second to 8/10 of a second. I know it doesn't sound much, but it's everything when you've got a short sprint race like this. And it was the 1:30.5 for Visser, a 1:30.7 for Chadwick. So Visser really giving it all she's got. Great stuff.
15 minutes left, thanks for that, Ted. Keep an eye on that for us. We've got 8/10 between the leader and the championship leader. So Bijtske got 2 great restarts behind the safety car. But Chadwick is starting to see if she can ease her way around this circuit and see if she can find any advantage on the Dutch driver. She's one of the only drivers, we have to say, that has driven around this circuit. Jamie Chadwick hasn't driven around this circuit until this weekend, as we see Sarah Moore adding the pressure on Marta Garcia again, once again seeing if she can close in and find a gap.
Garcia, I'm surprised that she's just dropping from that lead group. Her pace and quality was certainly good, so taking a little while to get up to pace in this race, and all the time under pressure from Moore, who in herself has got Pepper and Wallend pushing her as well. So nice tight little battles developing here.
So Jamie Chadwick has just dropped off a little bit now. Bijtske has moved that lead to 1 second now from Jamie Chadwick. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for the final 13 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. And I was speaking to Sarah Moore before this race, and she was saying that she was unhappy, not as happy as she could have been coming away from Hockenheim, and she was so adamant this time round. She wanted to see if she could get a podium, and you could tell here, can't you? She again hasn't driven around this circuit until this weekend, but the former Ginetta Junior champion is really putting the pressure on Marta Garcia, who had a podium last time out.
8 laps completed here at Zolder in round 2 of W Series. Visser leads from Chadwick and Powell. Just over 12 minutes plus 1 lap to go in round 2 of W Series here at Zolder in Belgium. Beitske Visser leads.
Nice little battle there for 6th, 7th and 8th and 9th as we see Beitske Visser pulls out nearly a 1.5 second lead on Jamie Chadwick.
Absolutely, well spotted. She's actually was half a second quicker than Jamie Chadwick. So, you know, Jamie Chadwick won the first race. She was in pole position at both the opening races. So you would imagine that she'll be able to keep the pressure on Visser. But right now, Visser is looks like she's kept something up her sleeve and is just extending that lead.
Half a second as well in 1 lap. There we go. Is the breakdown there, DC?
Yep, that's impressive as she finds, you know, sort of finds her race car on any given day. When we heard from her ahead of the race saying that warmer conditions, that has an effect, of course, on the balance. So maybe that's the issue that Jamie Chadwick has right now. These warmer conditions, her car balance just isn't to her liking.
So we've got over 11 minutes left of this race. Beitske Visser is leading from Jamie Chadwick, from Alice Powell, Marta Garcia in 4th. Sarah Moore is in 5th, putting pressure, though, on Marta Garcia. And Tasmin Pepper having a brilliant race in 6th, as we see she's under a lot of pressure from Vivien Keszthelyi, who completely locked up into that turn and tried to see if she could get round Tasmin Pepper, but made the mistake herself.
Yeah, Nala flat spotted the tyre, so suddenly her vision, her view of this great Zolder racetrack is going to get a whole lot blurrier. And here we see a replay of that. So she was considering having a look down the inside, but well defended by Pepper. And then you see that big lock up there, and that will give her a flat spot. So nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely. This battle continues. Teddy, you got an update for us?
Yeah, it's great stuff, this fight for 5th, 6th and 7th. Sarah Moore, Tasmin Pepper and Fabien Volvend. It was a great start from Tasmin Pepper, actually, moving up, doing very nicely in this, challenging Sarah Moore for 5th ahead of her, but having to defend, as we saw, from Volvend. But guys, at the moment, Chadwick has no answer for Visser's pace. Absolutely astonishing. I mean, we say Visser's used to this circuit. She's driven here before. I tell you what, it's only once, and that was about 1.5 years ago. So while it's once more than a lot of drivers in this field, but it's not exactly that she's got home advantage. Of course, the Dutch driver Visser, I suppose we are close to Holland, aren't we? But in any case, excellent performance from Visser. Really impressed with this. Chadwick, no answer for her at the moment. Let's see what the next few minutes bring.
Thank you, Ted. But David, do you not remember these circuits, though? Do you not have them ingrained in your head? So if you race here once, you know it competitively. You've done it a couple of times that weekend in practice and quali. You remember it, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. You know, anywhere that you've gone around in a racetrack, it's such a highly, you know, all of your senses are on high alert when you drive a race car. So your sort of picture memory of the track, the bumps, the curbs, any identifying features are just ingrained into your mind. So, but simulation technology nowadays is pretty impressive. So they'll have had the visual at the last event, and well, as Garcia there is still under pressure from Moore, and that's allowing Pepper to get on her gearbox. So a nice little battle there developing.
And they're not easy cars to drive, are they, DC? As we see, Sabra Cook has got
contact on the nose there.
I don't know who she's had contact with. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that. But she's definitely got through. She's got a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. So interesting to see that.
Well, that might well be. So we didn't actually see where Radesk, she wasn't involved in that incident. So maybe that's a sort of deferred penalty for spinning her around.
So she takes her drive-through penalty and she rejoins, I would assume, quite far back. She was at 15 after that drive-through penalty. The battle, though, continues between Visser and Chadwick as Visser pulls out nearly a 2-second gap between Chadwick, and Chadwick's going to start having more pressure from Alice Powell behind. Miki Koyama once again making her way through the field, started 13th. She moved up to 8th at the moment, and going to start putting pressure, I'm sure, on Fabien Volvend, who is trying to get round Tasmin Pepper at the moment. Sarah Moore seems to have dropped off a little bit now from Marta Garcia, who still remains in 4th and has started to defend now from Tasmin Pepper behind.
Yeah, I think that's impressive stuff from Koyama to get herself into that battle. And Volvend will have to keep an eye on her mirrors. So there's certainly nothing wrong with the Japanese racer's ability to go wheel to wheel. Unusually, you know, in Hockenheim, poor qualifying put down to those changeable wet conditions. dry this morning for qualifying, a little trickier to understand. Right, here's a replay. This is, well...
Sarah Moore just getting a bit out of shape there.
Just keep looking forward now, just focus on your own lines.
I don't know where else she's going to focus. I'm assuming what he means is don't worry too much about Sarah Moore behind and get your head down and go forward.
Absolutely. He may have, the race engineer they're talking to her, he may well have seen her weaving, defending, and you know, all the time you're doing that, of course, you're just losing. You're losing momentum and you're not focused on the ideal line. So, little pep talk there. Get focused and get your eyes on that potential podium. It's looking like it's going to be difficult today, though, with a 4.5 second gap to Powell.
So Weizke-Visser leads around here. It looks like Chadwick has taken 2/10 off to close that gap a little bit more, but she's still a 1.5 seconds behind Weizke-Visser, who has driven quite a commanding race, I would say, actually.
Yeah, it's been strong, hasn't it? You know, had to deal with 2 safety car restarts, aced those perfectly, aced her start, was only a 10th away from that pole position, having run a slightly different strategy in qualifying, and completed her laps a little bit ahead of the session. Under normal conditions, you'd always want to try and do your quality laps really towards the end of the session. That's when the track's got its most rubber down and most grip, but this track is not really throwing open too many overtaking opportunities. See, the cars are fairly neutralised, nose by nose, nose to tail, sorry.
It feels like it's bubbling away, though, doesn't it? So 6 minutes left on the clock. It's Weizke-Visser who's leading around Zolder. Jamie Chadwick in second, nearly 2 seconds behind now. Alice Powell in third. Marta Garcia is fourth. Fifth is Sarah Moore, trying to put on pressure again to Marta Garcia there, as we're watching both of them battling out. I feel like that's gonna, it's not over yet, that battle. Tasman Pepper in sixth. We've got Fabian Volven in seventh. Miki Koyama, who started 13th on the grid, is eighth.
We're heading into the closing stages of W Series Round 2. Visser leads from Chadwick. Into the final stages here at Zolder in Belgium. When the clock reaches 0, they'll complete the lap they're on and then have one further lap. Weizke-Visser leads from Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell.
Need to put out a sector 2, Mickey, sector 2, big push.
So Miki Koyama, they're being told to push. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happened with Cook, who had the Sabra Cook, who had the drive-through penalty for causing the collision. Haven't seen the replay from that yet. However, it'd be interesting to see exactly what happened. Like Ted said, there was a definite contact on her nose, wasn't there, DC?
Yeah, that was a black tire mark, so she's run into the rear of someone's rear tyre. So we need to wait and see if we get that replay. And just as the cars here, you can see that they're able to get within that sort of 1 second window, but not really picking up much of a slipstream. Unlike Hockenheim, the straights here are a little bit shorter, so it's not really allowing the momentum to come into play.
Well, it presents a very different challenge, doesn't it? We've seen at Hockenheim the Formula One cars going around that track a lot. However, Formula One hasn't come here since the 80s. 84, I believe, was the last Formula One race here, and it was only here for 10 Grand Prix. So, I mean, it's not a circuit that drivers will know as well. So, say Hockenheim is a circuit that we've all seen on the television more. However, this is more of an old school circuit, and my goodness, it's enjoyable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly a track that the drivers enjoy the challenge. You've certainly, you know, not so many high-speed corners, a lot more chicanes, so you've got to be good in the brakes. You can see Pepper there trying to get as close to Moore as possible in the chicane, and much better drive-off. So get in the slipstream, that's where you want to be. Don't have any cooling issues, you want to get your car right in the dirty air. And, you know, got a little bit too close on the brakes into turn 1. So showing a little bit of racing inexperience there.
Tasman Pepper is starting to put the pressure on Sarah Moore now, who has spent most of the race putting pressure on Marta Garcia. So absolutely brilliant defensive work from Sarah Moore there, who raced in the GT as well. So she is an experienced driver, despite being quite young in age. Tasman Pepper, and really starting to see if she can capitalise and do better than she did at Hockenheim as well. Not very happy with her performance there. Sarah Moore with a new helmet as well this weekend. True story that. 2.5 minutes left on the clock.
Well,
give you a little fact.
Yeah, it's always nice. You actually, just on that, drivers do tend to get, you know, it's like a pair of gloves. You would never race. And
oh, I'm sorry, Alice Powell is putting the pressure on Jamie Chadwick, going round the outside, looking to take second place, not quite close enough, seeing if she can get the undercut coming into, and
contact.
They touch. Oh, they're going side by side as they're trying to...
She's in the right line, though, for the next corner. She's on the inside, so she'll make it stick on the brakes.
Oh, she's got her, she's got her. She took her on the undercut, going on the inside of the circuit. Jamie Chadwick unsure if she wants to not give that one back as they come down to the start-finish straight. I mean, close, tight racing there.
Yeah.
And Alice Powell, Jamie Chadwick looks to the inside, not quite close enough. Alice Powell now needs to put the throttle down and see if she can keep this second place. Jamie Chadwick coming back on the outside. Are they going to touch again? Oh my goodness, that was close.
Yeah.
That was too close for my liking.
Now, you're not going to go around the outside in turn 2, but certainly Jamie not happy having lost that place, understandably. So now she's only going to have a couple of laps. She's got the clock counting down, so she'll get this lap and then probably one more. So she's got to try and see if she can do exactly to Powell what she's done to her.
Sorry, DC, got too excited then. Was going to throw to Ted while you were talking. Ted, an update,
I'm
minute
sure
to go.
we'll get a replay, Claire, but Chadwick must have made a mistake because the lap before there was 1.5 seconds separated Chadwick from Powell. So I'm sure we'll get a replay. Chadwick must have made a mistake somewhere, maybe missed a chicane somewhere.
Minute to go. It was surprising to see how Alice Powell had closed that gap so quickly, and now the gap between Powell and Visser is 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds. So we're not going to see them catching up anytime soon with only 50 seconds left on the clock as Jamie Chadwick looks to see if she can find any way around Alice Powell. But Alice Powell is making the car the biggest car I think she's ever driven, and she's not unfamiliar, shall we say, to the podium. She got a second place. We've got 30 seconds left on the clock here. Jamie Chadwick is closing in again. She's ever so close to the back of Alice Powell. Oh, and she looks to see on the inside outside. Jamie Chadwick's going to try around the outside of turn 1, and they might touch. Oh, they can't touch. Jamie Chadwick goes wide.
She'll get it into turn 2.
Looks like she will. Alice Powell's going to have to give that one up, I'm afraid. She goes a little bit wide into turn 2, and Jamie Chadwick has taken back second place. And we can breathe for a second while Alice Powell is still closing in again on Jamie Chadwick. What a brilliant battle here for second and third.
Yeah, well, that was good recovery from Jamie. She saw that, and Powell trying again on the brakes. She's got confidence.
So the clock has clicked down. We do get one more lap on top of this. I know it says it's almost finished now, but they'll come past the start-finish straight again, and they'll do the final lap off the back of that. So this battle is going to continue for longer, I'm afraid. So sit down and make sure you've got a cup of tea, because this one is going to be fruity.
Yeah, she's going to have to get herself back into position. It looks like into the last chicane there's an opportunity, and also down that start-finish straight where Chadwick set her up by making Powell go defensive into turn 1, and then that created the opportunity into 2.
There's a replay then on Alice Powell. Gets a little bit out of shape there.
Yeah,
actually.
this was fantastic though. Going around the outside on the brakes, got herself into position there. It took her until the last chicane to make it stick, but fair racing. Look how close it was there. There was that little contact as you go through the kink, and then eventually at the last chicane, Jamie had to acknowledge that, well, on this occasion, Powell had the advantage, but it only lasted a lap before Jamie Chadwick got the place back.
Brilliant racing by these two, and they were lucky not to pick up a puncture, actually, because I definitely think there was a bit of contact there as Alice Powell's dropped back a bit now. The tyres are going to start going by this point. Final lap then here in Zolder. Beitske Visser is leading by around 7 seconds. We've seen the gap behind start to fall quite far back now with Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell fighting away, but Keszthelyi said, but coming into this race, she wanted to start taking control of this championship, and my goodness, has she done it in style at the moment. This battle continues for Chadwick and Powell for second and third. Marta Garcia not going to get a look in on the podium this time, I'm afraid, and Sarah Moore remains in fifth at the moment as Keszthelyi makes her way around the final few turns.
Yep, great stuff from Beitske. She's definitely put herself in a great position. This is a clear indication to Jamie Chadwick. If you thought this was going to be a clear run to the championship, you've got a serious competitor here. Final
chicane then for Keszthelyi as she makes her way to the start-finish straight, and it looks like it's going to be a new winner in the W Series. Keszthelyi takes the win in Zolder. She said she wanted to beat Jamie Chadwick, and she's done it. Keszthelyi wins around Zolder. And she's done it in style as well. There's a big gap between Jamie Chadwick, nearly 8.5 seconds behind Jamie Chadwick, who comes in second. Alice Powell in third. Marta Garcia takes fourth. Fifth is Sarah Moore. Tasmin Pepper is fifth. Seventh is Vivien Keszthelyi.
Yeah, that's great win there for Visa, and a clear indication to Jamie Chadwick. She's got a battle for this championship.
So, race results after that. Keszthelyi takes the win from Jamie Chadwick with nearly an 8.5 second lead. Alice Powell was third, another podium for the Brit. Marta Garcia is fourth, just missing out on that podium space. Sarah Moore is fifth after a great battle with Tasmin Pepper in sixth. Vivien Keszthelyi seventh. Miki Koyama made her way up from 13th to 8th. Vicky Perrier 9th. And Naomi Schiff, her birthday day today, 10th.
My goodness, that was hard work. You didn't just have to get the position at the start, but you also had 2 restarts to contend with. It wasn't easy out there.
Yeah, they tried to make it hard for me, but yeah, starting from P2, I had a perfect start. I barely had any wheel spin. Jumped Jamie in the start, quite directly pulled a gap. Then it was safety car, good restart. Again, after 1 lap, safety car. Then I was like, okay, if I do the same restart, then she knows what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do it differently. And yeah, pulled a good gap. And yeah, and then the gap kept building up slowly.
I like the way you're so analytical straight after the race. In terms of the emotions, though, what does it mean to win a race in this series?
Amazing. Yeah, you just want to win every race. So I think we did a perfect job today, and I'm very, very happy.
Well, you've got a trophy and some champagne to keep you cool, so head on up to the podium.
Thank you.
So how does that leave the championship now? Jamie Chadwick still leads after a win at Hockenheim and a second place today in Zolder. Keszthelyi closing in the gap with 37 points. Alice Powell in third at the moment, 33. Then Marta Garcia, Sarah Moore, and then Vivien Keszthelyi, the top 6. Tasmin Pepper 7th, Miki Koyama in 8th, Vicky Perrier with 2 points in 9th, and Gosia Rudes rounding up at the top 10 with 2. Caitlin Wood has got 1 point, and then 12th is Naomi Schiff with 1, and then no points at the moment for Hawkins, Hawkey, Cook, Holbrook, Kimilainen, Gilks, and of course Vivien Keszthelyi. Alice Powell heads out to the podium. She accepts her trophy and waves it in the air. She looks very pleased with that one. A second podium for Alice Powell. Jamie Chadwick, the championship leader as well, collects her trophy, but it's the winner, Keszthelyi, who takes home the full 25 points.
We're going to have a real battle for this championship, and you can see the look of a winner.
Keszthelyi wins in Zolder.
Let's hear from some of the drivers now, starting with the top US finisher, Shea Holbrook in 12th. She spoke to Ted Kravitz.
Actually, that's much more like it, isn't it? That was a lovely race. Moved up a few places?
Yeah, I moved up a couple places. Really happy with a P12 finish. I fought hard this weekend, and my crew gave me a good car all weekend long. There's something about this track. I've really enjoyed my time at Zolder. It's very technical. It's quite risky. So the risk-reward you really have to evaluate and be calculated with. It's got great flow, and I just felt like I needed a dry weekend. So I'm really grateful for the weather gods for giving us in Belgium a dry day, which I guess is, hard to come by. All weekend long, my confidence was up, and I think, I kind of needed to, reset a little bit, hit that reset button after Hawk, because frankly, it was just a terrible performance and just a bad weekend for me. Really, really happy with our performance, happy with our result. We did have on the start a little bit of a fumble. Launching the car was fine, but just shifting up after the fact into third and fourth gear, it seemed to stumble a little bit, and I think that maybe cost us ultimately potentially a position with how the race kind of shaked out. But then again, you know, these cars, the reliability with High-Tech and W Series has just been phenomenal, and very grateful because, you know, I'm able to work more from a driver's perspective and not have to worry about, you know, the other potential obstacles. You know, you just work on being and driving to your 100% and hoping at the end of the day that was enough. And you know what, for me, my 100%, I feel like it was enough. A P12 in the 67 chassis is a good day for America.
Well, Sarah, an eventful race for so many people out there, and sadly for you as well, because you got caught up in an accident that was happening in front of you.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate with the incident that happened in turn 12, and I was already planning on trying to go for a pass, and unfortunately the cars in front of me just checked up and moved, and I had nowhere to go, full lock, all four wheels, trying to stop and just avoid contact, and just I wasn't able to stop, and unfortunately contacted Vivien in front of me, and yeah, I got a drive-through penalty for it. So obviously it wasn't intentional, but it's part of racing, and unfortunately, hopefully next time we'll won't run into bad luck.
Next up then, we head to Italy. Misano is next on the W Series calendar, so make sure you join us then.